Hello and welcome to another Excel demo with Kerr. In this scenario, we'll be talking about the subtotal function in Excel. So we're going to create some sample data. We'll do that together in this case. So we'll start out in cell A1 and we'll type the heading customer. I'm going to make that bold. And then maybe location. Here's a little data entry tip. If I know I want to stay focused on the current cell, instead of hitting the enter key by itself, which moves me down to cell B2, I can press Control Enter, which confirms the entry but doesn't move down a cell. So that's just one way to do data entry. Of course, I could have hit Tab also to move across. But the idea there is I wanted to stay focused on that cell to do bold after I enter the data. In cell C1, I'll do amount. And again, I'll do a Control Enter and Control B for bold. So in cell A2, I'm going to type Target, Walmart, Costco, maybe Walmart again. And notice how Excel tries to help me out as it sees that I'm typing a value that it recognizes from above. So it'll do the autocomplete for me, so I don't have to finish typing the entire text. Now, what if one of my customers is Walgreens, though? So as I start typing Wal, it assumes Walmart until I hit the G of Walgreens, and then I type that out. I'm going to add Costco again, maybe Target again. So here's another data entry tip. If I'm going to be entering another value from above, and I want to ensure that I spell Target the same way every time, or spell Walgreens the same way every time, we could do a data validation rule to provide a drop-down list so that I can only pick from the valid entries. But if I don't want to go through the time of setting up a validation list, I can use the Alt key and the down arrow together on my keyboard. So Alt and down arrow together will produce an alphabetized list of the previous values. So in this way, I can now go and choose Target from that drop-down. Now, if you're more of a mouse person instead of a keyboard shortcut person, you can right-click on a cell and choose Pick from Drop-Down List. Pick from Drop-Down List, and that's the same functionality. It gives me an alphabetized list of previous values. So in my list, I've got the following values: Target, Walmart, Costco, Walmart, Walgreens, Costco, Target, Costco. Now if you want to pause the video for a moment to make sure you have the same values, go right ahead, and then we'll pick it back up as we're going to fill that list down to row 100. So let's select those entries. I'm selecting the entire range. I'm going to move my mouse over the autofill handle in the lower right hand corner of the selected range of cells. I'll click and start dragging down, and I'm going to drag down until I hit row 100, and that fills me down to row 100. And so I'm going to go back to the top. Of course, Control Home is a keyboard shortcut that gets me back to the top of my spreadsheet. So Control Home gets you back to cell A1. Now, in the location column, I'll just mix it up with a few different locations. We'll do Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, Detroit. Maybe I'll throw Chicago in there again, Miami, and maybe Boston again. So I'm going to select that list. And again, this is really just for filling in data, so we'll have information for our subtotal exercise. So I'm just going to fill that down by double clicking now. I don't have to drag to row 100. Because there's data in column A, it will serve as a proxy so that when I double click the autofill handle, the fill just goes down to row 100. And if you want me to, I can scroll down to confirm, and we can see that it did in fact stop in row 100. Okay. Finally, let's go to the amount column. I'll say the first value there is, we'll say 500, and I'll say the second value is 505. I'll select both, and then double click the autofill handle to fill that down. So when you select two seed values, two numeric values, and then double-click the fill handle or drag the fill handle, it will continue the pattern using the same increment between item 1 and 2. So now it fills down 510, 515, and since I've got that range selected, I can easily turn on the accounting style. So now we've got sample data, and we're ready to start talking about creating a subtotal arrangement. So if you need to pause the video to set your data up, go right ahead. Okay, the first thing you have to do if you're going to subtotal a range of data is decide which column is going to serve as the grouping level for your subtotals. So let's say that I'd like to get a total on a per location basis. So I need to sort by the location column. This means selecting a single cell in column B and going to the Data tab of the ribbon. It's not necessary to select the entire range and then launch the large sort icon, which gives me all the choices for sorting. If I know I want to sort by column B, I pick a single cell in column B and click the A to Z sort button. So now all the Atlanta data is together, all the Boston, all the Chicago, etc. So that's step one, sort by the column that I'll be grouping by. Now, on the right side of the Data tab, you'll find the subtotal icon. If you've got the solver add-in turned on, which we'll talk about in another video, you'll see that over there too. But without that, it may be the last large icon on your Data tab. We'll go ahead and click it, and the subtotal dialog box appears. Now, initially, the application makes the assumption that you wish to subtotal by customer, and it makes that assumption simply because customer is the first column in your range. So that's not correct for us, so we're going to change that so that it says at each change in location we want to do the sum function. The sum function is the default, but note that you could do count, average, maximum, etc. I'll leave it on sum, and it is in fact the amount column that I wish to sum. If there were existing subtotals, leaving this first checkbox selected would replace those. I could optionally put page breaks between my subtotal groups, and then I'd like the subtotals to be below. So at the end of the Atlanta data, I'd like to see the total for Atlanta. The alternative would be to uncheck this, and it would have Atlanta's total at the beginning of the group, and the same for the other groups. But I'll leave that set as is and click OK. And now at first it may appear nothing's happened, but when I scroll down, there's my Atlanta total row. Now, obviously the column is not wide enough, as we see the pound signs in column C for the Atlanta total. So I'll take my mouse between the headings of C and D, and I get that east-west crosshair that I can double-click to auto-fit the column. Actually, column B needs to be auto-fit too, so the words Atlanta total will fit. And as I continue to scroll, I'll see that each city or each location has been subtotaled, which is great. Now, if you've got a lot of data, that's still a lot of scrolling to see those totals. So on the left-hand side, an outline structure has been created with these headings 1, 2, and 3. You're currently looking at level 3, which has all the detailed data, the subtotals, and even a grand total at the bottom, which we didn't go down that far to look at the grand total. But if you click the number 2 button, it will collapse the data down to just show you the subtotals and the grand total without all the details being displayed. What's nice is you could decide to expand one of those groups. So for example, if I wanted to take a closer look at the Detroit data, I can click the plus symbol for the Detroit total row, and that then re-expands the Detroit group so I can look at that data and look at its details. I could now collapse Detroit back down with that minus sign on the left, or just go all the way back down to level 2. Level 1 is the grand total. So with level 1 selected in the outline structure, I just see the grand total. Again, level 2 are the subtotals and the grand total, and level 3 is everything. That's it. That's the subtotal function. I hope you find it useful. Thanks for checking in. Come back soon for more videos. Have a great day.